Welcome, dead and lovely listeners, to a brand new installment of the greatest, I'm not even going to say greatest horror movie podcast, the greatest podcast in the known multiverse. Why, it's Dead and Lovely, here with the host with the most. He's
Hollywood Steve!
And I'm's Uncle Ben.
There you go.
And I just ate all of the pho.
Did you?
I'm so full of pho right now. Yeah, there's none left in the world. I hope nobody was wanting some because I just caused a worldwide shortage. It was the last of a homemade batch of frozen broth that Kate made sometime in the spring. And I miss it already, I'll tell you this.
It's great stuff. I love me some pho.
I could eat pho on the daily. I really don't think I could ever get tired of it. How you been doing this week, Stu?
Man, I've been doing.
Yeah?
Yeah. Just getting it, doing it.
Yeah?
Doing it, and doing
Flipping
it well.
Reversing it?
Throw my thing down, flipping and reverse it.
Wow, did you really?
Yep. I got all of those things accomplished in 1 week. So
That's quite the to-do list. Yeah, imagine you checking this thing off. It's like, well, let's see. First, I've got to throw my thing down. Then after that, I need to flip it, but then reverse it.
From that point.
If you flipped it, then reversed it, why didn't you just leave it be the way it was?
Oh, shit.
She could have just threw her thing down and probably left it.
I threw my thing down and left it on the floor.
Well, the thing is, though, is I think that's a really positive spin on, like, okay, then I flipped it. Oh, that was a mistake.
Oops.
Yeah, exactly. Rather than going, oops,
go back.
Yeah, and then I reverse it. This is what I do, y'all.
Yeah.
Put the thing down.
You flip it, and you're like, I don't like it that way.
You reverse it.
So you reverse it.
But it was all part of the plan.
We figured Missy out.
What you been watching this week, Steve? Anything good?
Well, I'm going to mention two things, and neither one of them are good.
Yes! I like it already.
On Friday night, we had our weekly stream and chat.
On the whole
we
Facebook
streamed
group.
Bloody Bible Camp and ROTOR, the RoboCop Terminator?
Robo
Terminator, maybe, is what it's called. I don't remember. Yeah, Robo Terminator.
I don't know either of these, but they both sound fabulous. Tell me about
Bloody
Bible
Camp is all of the scenes in a porn except for the sex.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What's the point?
It's a camp slasher that isn't. It's not. It's bad.
So
it's
if
real
it's
bad.
just the porn minus
it
the
was
sex,
funny how bad it was.
There's the guy who brings the pizza.
Yeah.
There's a plumber.
Right. None of these people show up, unfortunately, but Ron Jeremy does play Jesus.
No.
Yeah.
The hedgehog.
That's the one.
Plays the King of Kings.
Lord of Lords. Holy, holy, holy.
So it's not good though.
I mean, it was good for streaming and drinking and chatting and talking shit about that.
Okay.
I mean, that's exactly what these movies are. These are the type of movies we're probably never, ever, 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 ever gonna cover on the show. So it's like, it's great because I don't need to know who the director or writer of the movie is.
Yeah.
All I need to know is this is real bad and I'm enjoying this drink.
Do you think that whenever people make these movies and they like pitch them to big, movie execs, they're like, I know what you're thinking, but this is deliberately the kind of movie that you make just so people can drink and talk shit about it. And you're like, oh, that kind of movie.
Oh, right.
Green
yes,
light.
I would love to invest money in that.
Right.
What?
Yeah. So that people can sarcastically and ironically enjoy a shit movie.
I guess. I think really most of the time it is like, just because you can write a script doesn't mean it needs to be made. And just because you know the right rich person doesn't mean you need to get your dad to give you $300,000 to make this shitty movie that your friend wrote.
But I love the idea about a slasher at a Bible camp. That's something that I've
I
been
that idea too. I was hoping
it
it would be really good instead of being, remember that one slasher? That was cool. Let's do that thing that they do.
Oh, it's that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Ugh, that sounds unfortunate.
Done with those movies, man. I just can't, if you can't come up with something creative and new and interesting, no one needs your version of Sleepaway Camp.
If you can't come up with a horror movie that's new,
if you can't come up with something that is original, you might be. But then Robo Terminator or whatever was like, whoever made it was like an absolute insane genius. It's so fucking bad you can't imagine somebody could be that bad at making movies.
If they were like a sane person.
Right. So he's like, it must be someone who's just out of their brain. Like they have a 275 IQ and they're like, no, you don't get it.
Holy shit.
Yeah, and you're just watching it like, I guess I don't.
Yeah, this is way
that
above
just
my
a
head.
kind of tall guy with a mustache playing a robot? He's not even that tall.
It's like if Piet Mondrian made a movie. Yes. It's like it's just yellow and blue and red squares, and it's like, oh no, you don't get it.
Yeah, this is a horror movie.
Shows how much you know. Damn, that sounds horrible. Is it one of those things like fucking Indian Spider-Man where it's just a piece of garbage?
It was kind of like that, but it was, I think it was Canadian or something. Dave Bechet recommended. Ryan Garnes recommended Bloody Bloody Bible Camp, and it was, romp, roar, and fun time making fun of it.
Yeah.
And then Dave came along and was like, have you guys seen Robo Terminator? Nope, we haven't.
One thing I'll say about
now
Dave,
we have.
He's an idea man.
He is. He's got good ones.
He's a mover and a shaker.
I've seen him shake, yeah.
I've seen him move.
I've seen him do the Harlem Shake.
Oh. That's still popular, right?
Yeah, that's what the kids are all doing. They're making Harlem Shake videos or those freeze frame videos.
Right.
Dude,
I'll tell you what I can't figure out. Vine compilations are so unbelievably popular, and that app has been dead forever.
Yeah, for a few years. Yeah.
Why don't they bring it back? Because obviously people like it.
I don't know why somebody doesn't just bring back something similar.
I know, right?
It can't be that expensive.
I liked Vine.
Yeah, Vine was fun.
It's like Instagram came out and they were like, oh, you can put videos on here and they're a minute long. And it's like, that's fun and all,
it's
but
not the same, yeah.
Yeah, because Vine is what, 10 seconds?
Was the fun. Yeah, it's like, I think it was 15, wasn't it?
Yeah, something like that. Well, I mean, it's just like why Twitter overtook all these like live journals and blogs and shit like this. The limitation lets you just get straight to the point, makes you get straight to the point,
it does.
It'd be like if we did like a 10-minute long podcast.
Oh God.
It'd be awful.
That'd be terrible. We wouldn't get to anything.
No.
we would do our British accents for like 5 minutes.
A Jeff Foxworthy impression.
Probably a little Michael McDonald, throw in something that we
Zooey Deschanel.
Yeah. Throw in something that we only like tangentially understand, but we talk about a good bit.
Right.
Yeah. And then boom, 10 minutes is up.
Well, see you guys next week, I guess. Also, the movie was fine. See ya.
I guess you could boil our show down to 10 minutes, but I like it the way we do it.
Keep it long form. That sounds like a good time, man. I was far too fucking busy this week to stop in and join the fun, but it seems like it would have been a good time to watch these shitty movies.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. We always have I'd say about 5 to 10 people will show up. Sometimes your wife or my wife will drop in. You'll drop in, but normally just same core group of people talking shit and drinking, and it's a lot of fun.
That's my idea of a great
so if
time.
you guys want to join, it's just go join the Facebook group, and it's at the top of the Facebook group, right below the Dead and Lovely logo. You'll see chats. Click on that, and you can join it's called the Last Drive-In with Joe Bob Briggs chat, because that's how we started it.
Right.
Is us just drinking and let Joe Bob pick the movies. But now we're picking the movies, and it's fun. It's real fun.
Good times. Yeah. Good times. Yeah, Friday I was babysitting.
Yeah?
Watching some baby because...
Were there any adventures?
No, not a single one.
Damn,
no
so
adventures
Thor didn't
in
show
babysitting.
up.
No, nothing like that at all.
All right.
Pretty normal stuff. Rode a kid around in a wagon.
Well, you just on her back?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that was okay, I guess.
You were like, yeah, go.
I carried a baby in a stroller down some stairs outside.
Yeah.
I have never been so cautious about not dropping something in my life.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was kind of intense.
Yeah.
Because it's like a long flight of like stone
you can
steps.
drop babies.
They bounce.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that.
Mm-hmm.
She's buckled in. She's been fine. We were watching that baby because there's a funeral that the baby's owners had to go to.
The baby's owners, yeah.
And then Saturday was Pride Fest in Knoxville, which was awesome.
Yeah.
So fucking...
had a lot of friends go down there.
It was fucking great. It was awesome, man. Really, really fun time. And then Sunday, we were so exhausted from all the stuff that we had going on that week that we just kind of got home and we were like, we're not doing anything today. Because in the middle of all this too, like Kate's car broke down in Knoxville.
Oh, that sucks.
It was just all kinds of madness and stuff. So Sunday we were like, we're home. Fuck it. we are just staying home and doing nothing and being worthless all day. So we watched a bunch of stuff. We started off by watching The Star Wars: A New Hope.
Ooh.
I'd seen that one a time or two before. It is. It might be my favorite Star Wars.
Oh, yeah?
Really, A New Hope might be it. You know, I'm a sucker for like a setup and a world building and an origin story and stuff, though. So I just love it, man. But it did kind of strike me how I don't think they really made a big enough deal about the fact that Luke Skywalker came home to his little space igloo to find the bodies of his lifelong guardians, his aunt and uncle, charred down to just smoldering meat skeletons.
And they weren't mean to him. He loved them.
Yeah.
And it's just like, all right, well, see you later.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like that should have had some,
it was a gas, guys.
Really serious effects on Luke.
Yeah, I think one suffers a lot from a lot of issues because it really wasn't like, it wasn't the first attempt at making something like this, a space opera, but the others had been real lame, and they would all be lame after. So basically, it was like, this could have failed miserably, and there are a lot of like cut corners, I would say, in the script. But it still does a great job of setting up the main characters and setting up the world. And
just
without
that entire
like
universe.
Too much exposition.
Yeah. And they say that there were a lot of other like earlier edits of the movie that were just fucking horrible.
Yeah. And everybody on set wasn't sure what they were making. They were pretty, worried that it was just going to fail terribly. Yeah, I think that one is amazing, especially considering they didn't know what was going to come of it. But I don't know. I think I like Empire better.
I was going to say, like, Empire is probably a better movie.
Yeah.
Actually, I'll say it certainly is a better movie. The direction and stuff is much, much better, and the budget and everything is great. But that first one is just so fun. I got to thinking about it, and it's like, I don't know if there's ever been a year of my life that I haven't watched the Star Wars.
I maybe have. I would say I have. I haven't gone a year without watching the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Yeah, nice.
But I'd say there have been a few years where I was just like, whatever. But now I like to go back and try to watch all of them. Like, even that original. I haven't watched the episode 1 in a long, long time because I skip it in my rewatches because it's not necessary.
So bad, dude. Yeah, it's so fucking bad. I think I've only seen Phantom Menace maybe twice.
Yeah, I would say twice is accurate for me because I saw it in the theater and then saw it on video.
Yeah, there was a weekend we got snowed in here maybe about 6 or 7 years ago, and we were like, let's watch the entire Star Wars.
Yeah.
And so we watched 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think that's the only time I've seen it outside of theaters, like when it came out. It's so fucking bad, dude.
He's real bad, and it doesn't have a lot that's important.
No, not
for
really.
Like the full story. It does a whole lot of setting up and exposition, but not a whole lot of important stuff.
I'll drink to that one, Steve. Let's get ourselves a cold beer here.
All right, then. What we got here?
All right, we just cracked open a Bearded Iris Catalyst. Which is Bearded Iris in, was that Nashville? Yeah, they're in Nashville.
Yeah, Nashville, yeah.
This is an Imperial IPA of theirs, and it is a 9.5%er.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's a big old boy. It's a big old boy. Kate picked this up at the old Merchant's Beer the other day. I had one of them, and it's awesome.
Oh, okay.
It is kind of like a more dank, more funky, hoppier, less sweet version of their acclaimed home style.
Okay.
IPA.
And I like that home style.
Oh, it's great. Yeah, I have a feeling you'll probably really dig this one. I think you'll like it a lot. What do you think about that? Yeah.
That's got a kick on it.
It does. It does taste like a 9.5% beer. Sometimes we have some of these and it's just like they're so
great though.
It is, right? A lot of times we have these and they're so sweet that you can't really taste how alcoholic they are.
No, this has got a kick to it for sure.
Yeah, and it is a bit more dry.
But you still get that great citrus and a little bit of that pine taste to it. Mostly citrus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
I like it a lot. It's really good. So we also watched the entire, I think it's like a 4-part series of the Ted Bundy tapes.
Okay.
On Netflix.
On Netflix, yeah.
It was great. Okay. I thought that it was really good. A cool watch,
I've heard good things about it, but I haven't sat down and watched it yet.
It was definitely worth a watch. I think you'd really enjoy it. The editing is fantastic, and just the way the whole thing is kind of put together.
Cool.
Is really cool, and it spliced together with a lot of
How long
interview
are the
footage.
Parts?
I think about 45 minutes or so, something like that.
That's pretty short then. About 3 hours overall.
Yeah, something like that. And it kind of covers his entire life basically.
Pretty fucked up.
Pretty fucked up.
Became a Mormon at one point.
Yeah, I don't think they didn't talk about that specifically. They talked about how he's married to that chick that was a Mormon.
Yeah.
But they didn't put it in there that he was also a member of the church. I forgot about that actually.
Yeah. That'll teach you a bit. If any Mormons listening out there that are holding on to that spirit of discernment idea, your priesthood leaders can't discern fucking shit. Ted Bundy.
Ted was among them.
Yes.
But there's all kinds of like interview footage of him on like the news and all this stuff before he became
he liked
an infamous serial killer.
He loved the attention and loved to feel like he was like smarter than everybody and getting away with everything.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It seems like that's a common thread among a lot of serial killers. Is this thing where they just feel like and also just this superiority, like I'm above everything.
Yeah,
I can't
BTK
get caught.
was like that, working with the cops and stuff.
Oh
the
yeah,
whole time.
totally.
And,
oh man, that guy was such a piece of shit.
Yeah, did you? Oh man, I remember when he got sentenced. Like I think I've talked about this before, but his like closing statement basically was just nitpicking tiny things about about his crimes, praising the police and talking highly about them. Like he was basically like he didn't realize like you're going to jail. You're not getting out and getting to be a part of the police force again. Like you're going to jail forever, dude. Like just say what you want to say. You don't have to say the police force was great. Just be like, haha, fools, I murdered a bunch of people.
God, what a piece of shit.
I would like more of that, though.
Yeah.
I think we need more criminals. We need more criminals who, when they've just been caught, they're just like, haha, you mere mortals. I will go down in history as a murdering son of a bitch. Like,
yeah.
There was that one kid in Ohio who, he was like, he did a school shooting or something, but like, whenever he was being sentenced, he talked to the families and said like, the same hand that I used to murder your sons, I used to jerk off to the memory.
Jesus Christ.
Like, that's fucking terrible, but it's also like, I know he's bad.
Clearly the bad
there's
guy.
not going to be any point where he's going to convert and we're all going to be fooled.
Maybe we should give him a second
he's a
chance.
bad dude, yeah.
I just wish that bad people would start having those big curly handlebar mustaches again.
For real.
That they twirl about with wax.
And ridiculous upper bodies, but tiny little legs.
Yeah. I miss those days.
Fisticuffs. Tie you to the train tracks.
You know, there was that prison in, I think it was like Arizona or somewhere, where like the warden made all the inmates wear like pink jumpsuits and all this crazy weird stuff.
Yeah.
What if there was another prison though where they just made them all wear monocles and have curly mustaches and stuff?
Yeah. Like you have to be 1920s silent film bad guys.
Yeah. The gymnasium is just big triangular weights and medicine
made
balls.
Made of wood.
Hup, hup, hup,
Hup, hup, hup. You have to say that the whole time. Hup, 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 hup.
Excuse me, sir. I do not hear you hopping. Sorry, warden. Hop, 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 hop,
you wouldn't want to go to the hole, and the hole's an actual hole out in the yard. Yeah, they just throw you in a hole.
The good old days.
Yeah, the good old days.
Take it back to that. Yeah, Ted Bundy tapes were definitely a cool watch. Though.
I had to check that out.
I don't know why I love learning about the serial killers and stuff so much.
I think,
but I really do.
I've said, I think on this show, but I certainly have said in conversation before, that I think for sure that the desire to understand serial killers has to do with a desire for control. Like you feel like if you can understand them, you can avoid them.
Or maybe if I ever find myself being murdered by one, I can be like, oh God, I'm being stabbed to death. I'm sorry you wet the bed and your parents were mean to you and you set fires in your kid, huh? Oh, you probably had a strong maternal figure and no dad. Oh, I understand. Oh, stop killing me. Right. He's killing me.
Yeah, those were cut lines from Friday the 13th Part 4.
Exactly. Yeah. He was trying to explain.
Yeah, I think a lot of it, especially because women are so fascinated by serial killers.
Yeah.
I think a whole lot of that does have to do with that control, where it's like if I can understand and see the signs of it, I can avoid it. Because women are more often the victim.
I was gonna say, yeah, Kate and I were having that conversation a while back, I was like, why are so many chicks like into learning about serial killers and stuff? And she's like, because they kill us.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh,
right,
yes, they do.
Like if a man gets diagnosed with cancer, he's like, wait a second, cancer's like a real big deal. Well, women are walking around the whole time like, yes, also serial killers, rapists, domestic abuse. Any of these things catching in your head?
No,
you're like,
doesn't ring a bell.
But I got
Not ringing a bell.
cancer, so it's like a big deal. That is how men are, pretty much.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, we're good at making our problems everybody's problem.
Kind of, sort of.
Yeah.
Well, Steve, I'm very excited to talk about this week's movie, as it is one of our very first Patreon listener pick.
Yeah, this was picked by Katie. Who else? Somebody else also.
Yeah, somebody else put in a vote for this one as well, so it was doubly likely to come up.
I probably should have wrote that down. I apologize. Blank. Fill in the blank here.
Say your own name right here in the podcast. You'll know who you're talking about.
Just so you know, the reason why when we pulled 28 Days Later, we only had Katie written there is because we put 28 Days Later in twice. So since it was recommended twice. So in the future, if you guys see a movie that you really want us to do that somebody else has recommend it again. It gets another shot to perhaps get pulled. So
it's even more likelier.
Yeah, even more likelier.
Heather Likelier.
Remember her in the 80s?
I do remember her.
Yeah, Heather Likelier.
I'd like to give a big old shout out to all of our other patrons who support us on there. You guys are just so damn good to us. You're better than we deserve.
Shout outs for the beginning of July, Ben.
Oh boy, and while you pull those up, I'm just going to remind you guys, if you enjoy our silly show and want to say thanks, you guys can visit our Patreon page at
patreon.com/deadandlovely
and show us some support. We're going to have some more merch and stuff like that coming up really soon that you guys will have first access to, and all kinds of goodies. And we're planning a bunch of fun stuff. So get your name on that list today.
All right. So we got some shout outs. Molly Curran.
Yeah, Molly, homegirl. What's up? Thanks so much for the support. You're awesome.
Krista Dorico.
Oh, Krista. That's some of my favorite people. We're fixing to go to the beach with old Krista.
Oh, are you?
Yeah,
awesome.
She's a good old friend. It's going to be a good time.
Man. Dan Voss.
Dan Voss the boss.
Dan Voss the boss.
Owner of Voss the Boss Haircuts. Very good.
A fella named Space Age has a ghost picture for his little whatchamacallit.
Oh, he's a space ghost.
He's a space ghost. No, I meant the band Ghost, but okay.
Oh, the band. Oh, got it.
Casey Boyer.
Chef Boyer Case.
Making them raviolis. Ugh. Mushy ravioli. Oh,
true story.
Chef Boyardee.
I've never had anything Chef Boyardee in my entire life.
I've only had the ravioli once because I saw it on TV all the time, and I think it was like 12 or something. And I was like, I want to try Chef Boyardee because my mom wasn't a canned food fan.
Right.
Yeah. And I tried it, and boy, it tasted like dog food wrapped inside of a mush pillow.
That's what I've always...
And ketchup on it.
Ugh.
Yeah.
That's what I always kind of expected it to be like. Mm-hmm. Because there's no saving...
Your expectation was correct.
Ugh. There's no saving any kind of like pre-cooked pasta. It's always just going to be mush.
It's going to be mush, yeah.
Gross. And good to know I wasn't missing out on anything.
We got one more shout out. I don't think I've shouted him out, but Brandon Wood sent us a one-time donation. Woo! Wanted to shout him out. Thank you, Brandon.
Thank you so much. Creepy guy in the bushes.
That's my man.
There you go, man. Well, thank you guys so much for the support. You guys are the best, and we'll be doing these drawings periodically to determine a movie that you guys have chosen for the show. Yeah. So if you're on the $5 above level?
Yeah, $5. You can donate. Or you can recommend one movie, and we will have these periodically. But just this month, we drew 28 Days Later, but then we let our Facebook group vote on all of the rest of the recommendations, and we will be covering the top 3 vote getters at the end of this month. So just be on the lookout for that after our Harry Potter Prisoner of Azkaban episode next week.
Card.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you what, you guys chose some quality shit.
Yeah, that's why I was happy to let everybody vote on them, because it was just like, oh, these are great movies.
Yeah,
might
really.
as well, yeah.
Right, and there's a bunch of them that I'm like, I can't believe we've not done these movies
Alien.
yet. Yeah, some big old titles coming up. So we'll be talking about those. But today we're going to be talking about 28 Days Later,
yes,
which is a fine film.
Yeah.
A British film. A good time.
A good old time.
And it's a zombie time.
It is a zombie time. Now, a lot of people would say these aren't zombies, but we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Okay, all right.
We'll get into what exactly
bust us
is
straight.
a zombie.
Yeah, it's a good question. And, there's a lot of the parts in this movie, especially where, you got people running from these frantic hordes of zombies, and it's very action-packed and stuff. It kind of made me think about video games.
Yeah, it did a good bit. And there's a good reason for that. Because one of the main inspirations, and we'll get into this a little bit more in depth, but one of the main inspirations for this is 1996's Resident Evil.
Oh, the video game for the PlayStation.
That's the one.
Very interesting. Yeah. So, Steve, I say that before we get into the movie review portion of the show, let's slippity slide on into the Preview Palace.
Welcome to the Preview Palace.
And I just want to spend a second here and talk about our top 5 favorite zombie video games.
Oh, hey, how you doing? I didn't know Lana Del Rey was going to show up, but she's here.
It's me, it's Lana Del Rey.
True story.
Sorry, I just woke up. I'm very sleepy.
True story that I can't go too into because this is someone else's story, but I am close friends with somebody who went to college with her. And that person does not like Lana Del Rey.
Oh my! Yeah. That makes two
of us. Did not have great things to say about her.
Ooh, so. I'll tell you what. I think she sounds very lazy the way she sings. I don't think she has a good work ethic.
She has a lot. She's in the Michael McDonald of women.
No, don't disgrace Michael McDonald like that.
No, she's putting in the least effort.
If he was doing it, it'd be all I wanna do is play video games. Go and play your video games. No, you're doing it all wrong now. You gotta make your voice go up and down. That's the point of singing. That's a little better. Now just add some volume and sing from the back of your throat through a pillow.
I want this to be a video of Michael McDonald trying to teach Lana Del Rey to put a little bit of zhuzh in her voice.
Just put something into it, I like it. Now, I'll put it out there that Steve and I are by no means any kind of like mega up-to-date hip seasoned video gamers.
That's true.
I spent my early years being physically unable to play a sport or ride a bike.
Yeah.
Or really do anything that was cool in the 80s or early 90s. So I played video games all the time.
But I played video games as well.
Yeah?
Yeah. Seems like you got in more video game time, and I would have liked that.
Yeah.
But I did also like playing sports and riding bikes and whatnot.
Oh, boy stuff, huh?
Boy stuff.
Do stuff with cool guys, huh?
I mean, my sister was with us, so it was like co-ed.
Wait, so when you had one of those signs on your bedroom door that said no dorks allowed,
yeah, no.
You were talking about me.
Right, yeah. If I had seen you with books, bam!
Slap them right out of my hand.
I never would have done that. Aww. I never did do that.
But you would have been like, sick bowl cut, dweeb.
No, I had a bowl cut too.
You would have been like, sick bowl cut, friend.
Awesome. You want to hang out?
Yeah.
You want to talk about dinosaurs or sharks?
And I would have said, I want to play video games. I was very shy. Yeah, okay. It kind of was, because I was so shy as a young man. I probably would have said it something like that.
Yeah.
I was just ahead of my time, man. Everybody loves video games. Everybody loves mumbling.
That's true.
Everybody loves
mumbling is
haircuts
way up there on
where
everybody.
It's like kind of shaved under. I had all that stuff when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm. I had that too. That was a great one. I actually technically kind of have that right now.
A little bit. You get there. I was also extremely wayfish and skinny. People love all this shit now.
That's true. All those things are way cool.
It's ahead of my time. It's ahead of my time, Steve. So I grew up playing video games and stuff, and was really hardcore into it, and kind of cut myself off around maybe the PS3 era.
Okay,
that's when my music life really kind of took over and stuff. But I played myself a good deal of Nintendo, Super Nintendo, PlayStation 2,
right,
and other friend systems like N64 and stuff like that. So some of our choices on this list aren't necessarily the best zombie games ever. We've played them all, and we're experts.
We're not going to be naming DayZ or any of those more modern games that look fun and look like a lot of fun.
I've heard they're awesome. There's a lot that I've heard that I really, really, really need to check out. I just instead of checking them out, I haven't.
If it's past Xbox 360, I also have not played it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is a very limited in scope list.
Yeah. But hey, you guys can tell us what we're missing out on.
Why don't you kick us off on this listomania here, Steve?
Well, Ben, when I think about zombies, I immediately think about the Fallout series of games.
Fallout. Awesome.
Fallout.
So I've never played a Fallout before.
Yeah. Okay, so in Fallout, they're called ghouls, and some of them aren't the way you would expect zombies to be. They're basically just on the exterior, they look like zombies, but their brains still work and everything. But in Fallout 3, if you ever ran across a ghoul reaper,
or
is a reaver. If you ever came across a reaver, it was as frightening to me as coming across a super mutant, like the real big. Well, you haven't played Fallout,
nope.
Or a Deathclaw. Like the reavers were fucking insane scary.
Okay.
There's so many like Fallout. All of the Fallout series has these ghouls, of course, because they were exposed to nuclear fallout. Crazy.
Oh, that's hence the name. Got it.
But I think really in Fallout 3, they were the scariest to me because they really could devastate you. By Fallout New Vegas, they still look gross, but they're just not as frightening. Out in the open, I feel like that is one of the things that when you see in a zombie movie, zombies out in the open, there has to be a lot of them for it to be scary. Because if it's just one, it's like, I have everywhere to run. But if it's a big group, then,
I'm
out in the open works. But normally you need zombies in close, like, situations, like a house and hallways and stuff like that, where there's nowhere to go except through them. Some of the Fallout 3 stuff, especially, is those tight quarters, real scary, real hard to defeat ghouls. So I think they're probably not the scariest zombies in any game, but they're my favorite.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I need to play those games. I have a lot of friends and stuff that have just been obsessed with them.
Yes.
Dude. And it's all kind of like survival.
Yeah.
But it's still kind of action-y.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Liam Neeson plays your dad in Fallout 3.
Liam Neeson plays Steve Eller?
Yep. He plays your dad.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. I know.
How'd they find out about him?
But it's got a lot of action to it. Danny Trejo plays a character in Fallout New Vegas.
Wow.
A lot of action to it, but also a lot of real interesting made up history, because it's set in a period where basically the 1950s style had continued into like the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, with who's the little dude that's like the kind of poster boy for Fallout?
Oh, are you talking about the Pip-Boy?
Pip-Boy, yeah.
Yeah, the little Fallout guy, yeah. There's like so much of that influence of the 50s style, and like the cars have nuclear engines and stuff. It's basically like just this world where the nuclear era had expanded instead of being basically protested down by people who are like, that's scary and we don't want it. And then of course, big nuclear war, and people stay in these bunkers, these Fallout bunkers that were made by this company, and all of them basically are part of a huge experiment.
Sounds awesome.
It's real awesome. I love Fallout. It's like the Elder Scrolls games, but set in a dystopian future instead of a fantasy world. I love it. It's amazing.
Sounds killer, man. I need to check those out one of these damn days.
One of these nights.
Ooh, an eagle. Boy, they're litigious as fuck. Let's just put the brakes on that right there. I mean, that's not the Eagles. You were just freestyling.
I wanted to kill all the lawyers and do it tonight. What?
Hey, if you don't stop naming these Eagles lyrics, I'm going to find your inner child and kick its little ass, okay?
I get it. Okay. That makes sense.
Get over it, okay?
Ben, name one. Give me a zombie game.
One of my favorite early zombie games that I played as a kinder child would be a Zombies Ate My Neighbors, which I mentioned on the last episode.
You did, and I had not played it. I downloaded the ROM.
Oh, sick.
I haven't played it yet.
But I can't wait for you to play it, dude. I can't wait for you to play it.
Because I need to get this video game streaming going up. Maybe I start with Zombies Ate My Neighbors.
Keep it real, man. Yeah. Keep it real. It's so fun. It's like a colorful, fun, cartoony world. It's kind of an action shooter sort of thing with great big maps. The levels are just these big kind of open maps that you wander around and try to find an exit out of and stuff. So it's not like a side scroller like what would be typical of games of that time period. Really fun. I remember the soundtrack being really good too. I need to go back and dig through that soundtrack. There's probably some fun stuff I could do for like Halloween or something.
Yeah,
you know?
make a video about how to play them Zombies Ate My Neighbors.
Yeah.
8-bit or 16-bit songs.
Definitely worth a spin. Really fun game. It's not really like a scary game. It's not like some of these other ones that are on our list where they're really like playing a zombie movie. It's just a fun, kooky ride.
All right, man. Let me tell you, Ben, about a little game called Red Dead Redemption Undead Nightmare. It's an expansion for Red Dead Redemption, which is
that's a cowboy game.
It's an amazing game. Rockstar just fucking nailed it with not only an awesome Western game, but also like you get to commit crimes, and that's fun.
Wow. Yeah. Fun stuff.
You can tie people to the train tracks even.
Oh my God, can you wax your mustache and curl it up into little tight arcs?
Sure. I mean, I don't think you can give your guy a mustache. You can only play as the main character, but you can put him in a pretty dapper suit.
If they came out with an expansion that was curly
mustaches, I think you can. And I mean, you get to design your character in the new Red Dead, I think.
Yeah,
but I haven't played it because I don't have an Xbox One.
Everybody told me it was fucking amazing.
Yeah, it looks great. But the Red Dead Redemption for Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, Undead Nightmare is fucking awesome.
So, are you still a cowboy and you're fighting zombies?
Yeah, you're basically fighting zombies off of your land. It's
okay, cool.
It's badass.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, I mean, as far as expansions go for a game, DLC, there have been some great DLCs, but that might be one of the top in my gaming history. Undead Nightmare,
man,
so fun.
And whose idea was it to be like, this game is really good, you know, it would make it better if there were zombies in it. It's like, it's a Western.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be cool as zombies
I think the Call of Duty series kind of started that addition of zombies to, and that's great too. The Call of Duty zombies, the Nazi zombies especially, where you're just killing Nazis.
Well, those things are just so damn killable.
They sure are.
They're dead inside and outside.
Yeah. There was a real weird story to one of the games. I think it was Modern Warfare 3 maybe, or not positive. Anyway, but it involved JFK and Richard Nixon.
Oh,
strange. Very strange.
Okay.
Anyway,
so with this zombie expansion, is it mainly just kind of like a defend your turf kind of thing, or is it like the actual Red Dead Redemption where it's an open map and
it's still open? Yeah.
I
mean, there's objectives and stuff, but yeah, it's got its own stories and stuff. And Rockstar writes such great main quest and side quests. Like everything they do that involves characters, they make sure their characters play as different than the other NPCs.
Cool.
Yeah, so it's real fun.
I remember watching my wife and her dad playing through Red Dead Redemption whenever it came out. And it looked like it was really awesome. And like I said, that new one looks like it's just fucking insane.
It looks so great. I want to play it, yeah.
Man, by the time that I fucking retire and have enough time to play all these video games, the list of games I need to play is going to be so long, I will never get it done.
There are still games I have on my list of like Super Nintendo games I haven't played.
Yeah, right. Like I've never beat Chrono Trigger.
I haven't beat Chrono Trigger.
Yeah,
no.
And that's like a 100-hour job.
Yeah,
right there. You know,
so great though.
There's not enough time for all these video games. You know,
it's getting so far from Lana Del Rey.
I'm gonna add one to the list here, and actually, I can't help but just name one of them. It'd be the entire list. Obviously, we're gonna talk about the Resident Evil games.
Of course, yeah.
The ones that jump-started the survival horror boom, and like you said, probably did kickstart the undead heart.
Oh yeah,
of every zombie movie fan that hadn't gotten a taste of something good in a long time.
Oh, it definitely did. I'll talk about that in detail in a little bit, but yeah, the Resident Evil, it made the fun of the zombie movies up to that point. It made it a game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, awesome.
Right.
Everybody had been thinking when you watch like all these Romero zombie movies and stuff, like this is what I would do.
Well, now you get to do it.
Now you get to do it. Yeah.
Right. It was so cool, man. And that entire aspect of it not being about run around and shoot every zombie and that's how you win the level.
Right.
The supplies were so scarce
that
you really had to choose your battles and learn when to just run away.
Yes.
In the first one, you're just stuck in that house with that police team, and you have extremely limited ammunition. You don't know what the fuck is going on.
Yeah.
And you really do have to manage your battles. I mean, it coined the entire phrase survival horror because it's really more about survival more than it is beating the bad guys.
Right. Because you can't beat all the zombies. It's impossible.
Yeah, there's not enough ammo, period. And dude, that game had some stuff that just scared the absolute dog shit out of me. I'll never forget, I was playing it with some friends for the first time, and we were all just like, oh my god, this game is crazy. I've never played anything like this. And then you're wandering down that one hallway at the front of the house, and that fucking zombie Doberman jumps through the glass. I don't know if anything has like ever scared me that hard. You know?
Yeah.
Because there's nothing like that, being like a little kid and playing this brand new type of video game with these crazy 3D pre-rendered backgrounds that are almost like paintings or like still shots.
I mean,
from
now
the
when
movie
you look at them,
through.
you're like, why did we think that was so amazing? But
I know, right?
It was amazing at the time.
That's the crazy thing. When you go back and you look at that first one, it's like the pre-rendered backdrops don't really look great.
No.
The polygon characters look fucking horrible.
Real bad, yeah.
They're just blocky mush. They look awful. But it really makes you realize how amazing, I think, especially at younger ages, like our imaginations were at filling in the gaps. Yes, this looks nothing like
and we had not seen
reality.
anything better, so we didn't
There's
have
that
something
too.
to compare it to.
Yeah, because at the time, I remember that game just being like, oh my god, the graphics are nuts. It's like walking around a movie, you know? So cool, man. And also just had some unbelievably bad voice acting in it. Oh my god, some of the worst. Don't shoot, I'm a human. But it didn't even matter. Like, the fact that it was all that bad, it didn't even fucking matter. It was so cool.
Yeah.
And just bleak. Like, there was like barely any soundtrack in it. It was a lot of just quiet. Like,
yeah, that is unnerving.
Yeah, your footsteps echoing around. And again, it's like when you think about everything else that was around at that time, that game was metal as fuck by comparison.
Yeah.
So cool. And then I went on from that and played Resident Evil 2, which is even better.
Yeah, I hear this. Now, I haven't spent much time with I played the first Resident Evil, and I've played Resident Evil 5.
Okay, so you skipped the ones in the middle, huh?
Yeah, I never had a PlayStation. I had Nintendo stuff up to a point, and then I had Xbox.
Oh.
So
never had a PlayStation. That
never had a
sucks.
PlayStation.
Damn, so you never like had a Twisted Metal or any of the great stuff.
I mean, I played them at other people's houses. Twisted Metal was fun.
Twisted
for
Metal
sure.
2 was the fucking king.
Right?
Oh
yeah.
my god, it was so good, man. Yeah, Resident Evil 2, they upped the action factor a bit, but without making it a full action game, which is what happens later in the series. I think with 5 especially,
was
right?
Terrible. I hated it. I hated that game.
Yeah.
I stopped playing it pretty quick.
It was almost more like, did you ever play House of the Dead?
House of the Dead, yes, I did.
It was like a shooter.
Yeah, and it was like arcade style shooter.
Yeah, exactly. I wonder what like the last popular arcade style shooter
Area
was.
51.
Oh my god, dude.
I think
Area
probably.
51.
Yeah.
That would have been like circa 1998 or something like that.
Somewhere around there.
Holy shit. Or, like a big, what do they call it? Like Big Game Hunter, Big Deer
Big
Hunter.
Buck Hunter would, because that
Probably that.
I remember playing that in the 2000s. So yeah, and that, I mean, as far as shooters go, that one's different. Big Buck Hunter, you're not trying to shoot everything. You're trying to shoot one specific
zombie expansion on it.
Big Zombie Hunter.
Yeah, there's zombie deers and zombie elk, and
it sounds great.
Yeah, it'd probably honestly be about the same.
Yes, it would.
Yeah, so probably not really worth it. But Resident Evil 2, it had this way of upping the action factor while still making it this like desperate bid for survival and shit.
Yeah.
It was also just so dark. A lot of it was in this like abandoned police station. Mm-hmm. And then you find out there's like this crazy conspiracy and all this wild shit going on. And I think there was a guy that was doing experiments on people underneath the police station, all kinds of crazy shit. Man, it was so cool. And you could play as two different characters in it too.
I gotta play these games and stream
really
myself
do.
playing them because like
I'd watch it.
I know first off that you'll hear me screaming like a little child for sure.
Yeah.
Like these types of games, I never really got into them because of that exact thing where when I put myself into the character, I immediately am frightened by everything. I do that in Fallout too. Like I'm always crouching and sneaking everywhere, even if I know I've been in every building in the game a million times. I know everything that's in there. I'm still like, oh fuck. I know that there's a ghoul up here and it's gonna jump out. Fuck that. I don't want it to happen.
Dude, I used to be the exact same way, and I probably still would be now.
Yeah.
Like I was to the point where whenever I was playing Doom or like Final Doom, there'd be times that I would get so like freaked out that I would hit select and play on the map. You remember how you could do the wireframe map?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would just play the map because it would still show you where the enemies are in front of you and stuff, but you just didn't have to like
see the demon.
Yeah, exactly. So I'd be like, oh, getting too freaked out. I'll play the map, which is so lame, so fucking lame. But yeah, I think I would probably be the same way, just getting super spooked. Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, I think I rented once. I don't remember really liking it very much. Okay. And then 4, I don't think I ever played. 5, like you said, was real actiony. That's one in like Haiti or something, right?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
There's like a cult or something in there, I think.
Yeah, I didn't get that far into it, but yeah, there's a whole lot of Haitian stuff going on.
Yeah, and which is cool that they
that's a cool idea. I mean, because that's the source of zombie, for sure. But yeah, I just couldn't get into the game. I didn't dig the controls either. But that was always an issue for me with the first Resident Evil is the controls were never right to me. Yeah,
because you'd be moving one direction, then the camera angle would change, and now up is down.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
Yeah, that was a little bit confusing. A definite downside of those pre-rendered kind of backgrounds and stuff. And I heard that new one that came out this year, that Resident Evil 2 remake. I've heard that is insane. I've watched some footage of it, and it is unbelievably gory. Holy shit.
Gotta check that out.
Yeah, I definitely need to.
All right. So, Ben, let me tell you about Telltale's game.
Tell me a little story about a Telltale's game.
The Walking Dead, which is based off of course, Robert Kirkman's The Walking Dead, and doesn't involve any of the characters that you would know from the comic or the show. Well, actually, it does. Technically, Glenn is in the first bit of it. But it's one of these games where you make choices, basically. That's essentially all you do. There's some quick time events, but mostly you just make choices in dialogue and choices as to what you're going to do.
So it's like Hard Rain. Remember that game?
I haven't played that one.
It was that kind of thing where it's mostly just a lot of dialogue choices and there are multiple outcomes and shit.
Okay,
so it's like a movie game.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. The Walking Dead is gorgeous. The characters are amazing, fully fleshed out. You play mostly as, well, I guess you play as one guy, but then eventually you become Clementine, who is this cute little girl who is saved by the first protagonist. And you get to see this world like falling apart basically through this little kid's eyes. And it's so, I don't know, it's so engrossing. Like, you get real connected to a lot of the characters, and you want the best for them. And then when you're making your choices, you're thinking like, and you only have a limited time to make your choice. You're thinking like, if I do this, how is this going to affect this relationship with this other character? And how's this going to make this other thing that's going on? How's it going to affect that? Like, so many choices, and they all matter.
That sounds awesome.
It's real fun. I think it's the first season is 4 or 5 episodes.
Okay.
But I think they're only like $1.99 or whatever on the Xbox store. I enjoyed them so much, and then there was like 400 Days, which is just a little bit more expansion on the story, and then season 2. I've played season 1, 400 Days, and season 2. I have not played the last season, but I enjoy it so much. I highly recommend it for anybody who's into character development and into good story in games.
I feel like a real dummy because I didn't even know there was a game. Like, that's how out of the fucking loop I'll tell you how out of the loop I am.
They've had some bad Walking Dead games. This one's the only good one, yeah.
I'm so out of the loop that I've never played a video game with a movie star in it.
What?
Yeah.
How?
I haven't. I can't think of any game that I've played. Like, you're talking earlier about
Jesus, you're right, yeah.
I don't think I've ever played any video game that has a movie star as like a voice in it.
Wow.
I mean, they're announcing like Keanu Reeves in games and shit now.
Yeah, Norman Reedus is in that game.
Yeah. I don't think I ever have. Like, I think in the era that I was playing games the most, it was still just random shit-ass voice actors that could not act at all.
Wow.
You know?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of when that started, because Patrick Stewart is the voice of the king at the beginning of Elder Scrolls Oblivion. And that was like, I feel like that was the earliest game I played with a big name. And Sean Bean, I think, is also in that. Anyway, yeah, I can't think of any earlier than that. And that's around 2006, maybe.
Yeah. Boy, howdy,
wow, so
man.
you haven't played many games in a long time.
No, I really haven't. I mean, it's like, seriously, since I became like a full-time musician, something had to go.
Well, that's a good choice.
I don't think so. I think I could have made more money playing video games.
Well, yeah. You could have. You definitely could have. And you'd have like real deep opinions on Twitch and YouTube and all sorts of things.
Yeah. And girls that play games. Ew.
Ew. I can't believe that Anita Sarkeesian. Yeah. Women have been accurately represented in games. Get out of here, you woman. Armor's supposed to be bikinis for girls.
Keeps all the important stuff safe. All the parts I like.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I would hope that wouldn't be true.
Yeah, I've missed out on a lot of great stuff, clearly.
Yeah.
You got any other honorable mentions you want to put on this thing?
I liked Dead Island. That's a game I played.
I did play Dead Island.
Yeah. That was free on Xbox at one point, Xbox Gold Games. I downloaded it and started playing it. I was like, oh, it's really fun.
It's
I played
almost
a good bit of that.
If I recall, it's almost like an arcade style, like kill everything kind of game, isn't it? Or am I thinking of a different? I'm thinking of Dead Rising.
Oh, Dead Rising is like that.
Dead Rising
I
was
have
fun.
also played.
Yeah.
I've played a demo of that too.
Dead Island is the one that had. There's a trailer for it that was like a little mini movie. It felt like a movie trailer or something like that. There's like a little girl zombie or something, and
there's all sorts of.
I know the one you're talking about.
It's set in a resort on an island. Yeah.
I always wanted to play it. It looked great.
There are some non-zombie folk, but almost everybody in there is killable. So
it reminded me very much of like if Fulci made a zombie game. Like it kind of had that Zombie 2.
Set it in a Caribbean island.
Yeah, like Zombie 2.
Yeah.
God, I want to cover that movie sometime. That movie's so fucking fun. Sure. It's so good, dude. Yeah, one of these days I want to get around to playing all these games and more. I know that we left like 8 million of them off.
Yeah,
of here.
let us know what we're missing and what we need to play for sure.
Yeah, chime in on the Facebook group or the Discord chat or just wherever you want to tell us what we ought to be doing with our lives. Good stuff. All right, now, Steve, the subject of today's podcast is 28 Days Later, which was made around 2002.
Yeah, came out on the 1st of November, 2002.
Remember.
The 1st of November.
That's when the movie came out.
28 daters and laters.
I assume this is not the first time you watched this movie.
No. I saw this probably in 2003.
Yeah.
Like early 2003. This movie is just so extremely important that I don't know if we can fully do justice to how important it is unless we talk about the history of zombie movies a little bit leading up to this.
Right.
And specifically that zombie movies had basically died in the late 80s.
Yeah, I think there was that kind of thing where they got popular with all the Romero films, and then they spawned all these imitators, and then everybody kind of got burnt out on them.
Yep.
You know, it's just like every other trend you see in music or video games or anything where something's awesome, everybody else copies it, everybody gets tired of it.
Yeah. So, yeah, Americans were basically tired of it. Basically, the entire Western world was done with zombies. But Chinese filmmakers and Japanese filmmakers had just gotten into them.
Right, yeah.
So they started in the late 80s and through the 90s up to the early 2000s. There was this sort of zombie boom in Asian cinema. That's what led to zombie video games because all of these games, Resident Evil, made by Capcom, was being made in Japan. Also, what was the other one we mentioned? The shoot 'em up style.
House of the Dead.
House of the Dead.
Yeah.
Also, a Sega game that was being developed over in Japan.
So you're saying the fact that there weren't zombie movies coming from the West anymore, they're like, well, we just got to make our own.
Yeah, we got to make our own.
And that led to the video games.
Yeah,
which
that inspired
coming back our way in the West.
Yeah, because then Alex Garland, who wrote this movie, he had wrote the novel The Beach in 1996. And it sold extremely well. And like he just started playing Resident Evil after he had written that. And he had this idea for a zombie movie because he thought, I haven't seen a good zombie movie in a long time.
So him playing Resident Evil is what inspired this script.
So basically, the the East brought zombies back.
That is really fucking cool. I did not know about that.
So we have Alex Garland basically just has this idea that he wants to take these elements, the survival elements that you see in Romero's zombie movies and in Resident Evil, and make the survival part of it the focus, not the zombies.
Right, yeah. How would you survive this? Not necessarily about how can you blow them up and kill them all.
Exactly. So Danny Boyle made The Beach into a movie, Alex Garland's novel The Beach, with Leonardo DiCaprio in 2000.
Which is a very strange movie.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
It's not very good.
Okay.
I will tell you this, big Alex Garland fan. I'll talk about him in a little while. If you watched the movie and you didn't like it, read the book. Book's fucking awesome.
The Beach?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It is awesome.
So basically, Danny Boyle had made this adaptation, and the producer of that movie was talking with Alex Garland about some future ideas he might have, and he was like, I got this idea for a zombie movie. And Danny Boyle liked the idea, the producer liked the idea, they worked it out, sat down, he wrote the script, and then Danny Boyle made this movie that was way different than anything he'd made up to that point. I mean, he'd made Trainspotting and all these other indie hits, but this is like a action horror movie, way different type of thing.
Yeah.
So Danny Boyle brings his own personal, like, great vision as a director to zombie movies that were always made by Romero and Fulci. We had these great directors making zombie movies, and then in the 80s it just became whoever. And that's kind of why zombie movies went downhill, because it was just somebody who didn't have a good vision trying to repeat the success of someone else's vision. And because you bring in someone like Alex Garland, who has a great vision of what he wants the story to be, and Danny Boyle, who can make that come across visually, it jump-started zombie movies again. And so, I mean, Britain was basically the epicenter of bringing zombie movies back, because it was 2002's 28 Days Later and the 2004's Shaun of the Dead that set up everything that zombie movies and zombie shows were doing. Because The Walking Dead basically starts the exact same way 28 Days Later starts.
I hadn't really considered that until you said that, but yeah.
So, like, I mean, the comic books, 28 Days Later, we have the animal rights activist setup. The comic books, you have the setup of Shane and Rick trying to stop a guy who's running from the police, and then Rick gets shot, and then cuts to later, he's in the hospital, it's empty, the machines aren't working. Exact same thing as 28 Days Later.
Yeah.
So Robert Kirkman was pulling from that, and then the show also pulled from that very much. Like, if you watch you look at the way it's drawn in the comic and then watch the way it's done in the show, it's almost the exact framing that Danny Boyle did in 28 Days Later with Cillian Murphy in the hospital.
Wow.
So this movie really made the boom of zombies in the early to mid 2000s happen. And then Shaun of the Dead brought the comedy to it, so then we got things like Zombieland, and just all inspired by these two great British zombie movies.
Damn, that's awesome. Very influential, very important flick.
Yes.
I remember whenever it came out that there was a lot of hype and a lot of buzz about this movie, and how it was just so, like, bleak and grim and brutal and all this. And this was, I guess probably around 2003 or so, maybe 2004 whenever I saw this. I think 2003 now that I think about it. And this was kind of before I started getting into horror movies. I'd watched a couple, but not really, like, got into them. And I remember the first time that I watched it, it was really late at night. I was still living at home. And it was on, I don't know, Showtime or something like that. Whatever we had, like, a free preview of for that weekend, I think I started this movie at, like, 2 in the morning. And I was up. I was all alone. And I started this flick, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to watch this zombie movie. Whatever. It'll be cool.
No big deal.
Yeah, I'm a tough guy. I've got pubes and everything.
Oh, wow.
Scared the absolute dog shit out of me.
Awesome.
I was utterly, like, terrified. Whenever it got to that scene, which is only maybe 10 minutes into the movie, where he walks into that church.
Oh, yeah.
And there's, like, the
priest,
zombie priest and stuff. I was like, I just about shut it down right there.
Yeah.
Like, I remember really thinking like, yeah, I should just hit stop. I should just go to bed. I can't do this alone by myself at night. And it was funny because I was watching it, the other night to review it for the show, and I was like, oh man, I totally wimped out like 10 minutes into this. Tough guy.
That's funny.
Yeah, but I sat and I watched the entire thing, and I remember enjoying it. I remember loving the soundtrack and all kinds of other elements that we'll discuss too. And it had been maybe, I think, a year or two since I watched it. This is one of those, I'd say this is probably maybe my 5th or 6th time watching this movie.
Yeah, I've seen this one a good bit. This was one I used in my class on the Undead, specifically, like some of the scenes in this. And some people out there going, but wait, Steve, these aren't undead zombies.
Okay, let's talk about this, because this is one of those ones that horror nerds will just get their panties all in a wad about.
Yeah, horror nerds are so fun. I am one. So, zombies did not begin as undead.
That's one of those things, man, that I was thinking about whenever I was thinking about how people get mad at this movie, because they're not real zombies, they're infected, and they're not actually deceased people. And I got to thinking about it, and I was like, well,
have you seen White Zombie with Bela Lugosi, 1932? Those are zombies, but they're the definitive zombies. They started the concept of zombies in horror films, and they're not undead.
Yeah, and
they're being controlled.
Yeah,
by a voodoo priest.
And it stems from Haitian voodoo and all kinds of stuff like this, that it wasn't that a dead person would be brought back to life and crave brains. Yeah, it was almost like they'd be put into almost like a controllable, malleable trance of sorts by means of a potion and a powder and a curse and yada.
And that is the important element of understanding undeath. It doesn't require dying and coming back to life. It requires no longer having control of your brain.
Yeah.
The person that was there, you see them physically, but they are gone.
Wow.
So these people in 28 days later, they're infected with this virus that makes they're gone. They are no longer there.
Yeah, all their humanity, their personality.
All their humanity is gone. It's just the face that you know. That's it.
Just a form.
Undeath doesn't have to be the die, come back to life type of undeath. So I think very much it's fine to call this movie a zombie movie. What's the difference between an infected movie and a zombie movie? I don't know. Like, are there other infection movies where the infection makes the person no longer themselves? Like Outbreak is
Mom and Dad.
Mom and Dad. There you go.
Yeah, that's an Outbreak movie that isn't a zombie movie.
Yeah.
And also because they retain their character traits.
They know. Like, that's specific in Mom and Dad. The definition being that when they're talking to Bokeem Woodbine about him killing his kid, and he's like, he says he sees all these other parents killing their kids and it's just wrong. But for me, it wasn't.
Right.
So it's like there's a disconnect, but the person's still there. So they're not undead.
Yeah. It's that loss of control.
They can come back. It's that complete loss of control. Yeah.
Wow.
So I get the quibble. It's fine. I don't know that it's genre breaking. I don't know that you have to create a whole different genre to encompass infection movies.
Yeah, well then this just ends up just like that fucking annoying shit that we have in heavy metal, where it's like, no, it's not black metal, it's blackened crust. Just all these like dumb subgenres, which just ends up becoming what you can and can't do if you want to be this specific thing. Yeah. Which limitations are just dumb, man.
They are very dumb.
All that shit. All these like hard genre definitions are dumb to me. So who cares? To me, this is a fucking zombie movie.
Yeah, let them blend into each other, honestly. I mean, because like I could see a case for somebody saying that Event Horizon, that Sam Neill becomes a zombie in that because he's completely controlled by the ship. If somebody were to say that, I'd be like, okay, there's a case for that.
Okay,
you could almost say Event Horizon has zombie elements.
There's a fine line because there's some possession movies and stuff too, where somebody loses themselves.
You could refer to the undead in Evil Dead as zombies, but it's a demonic possession as well.
Is RoboCop undead?
Exactly. That's a good question. He does have some connection back to his old life because he keeps sort of remembering it. But I don't know. Is he a zombie? Maybe he's a zombie.
Is ROTOR undead?
Is the Robo Terminator? I don't know. You see that guy's mustache, I'll tell you what.
I never seen a robot with a mustache.
There's a lot of life to it.
Robot with a mustache.
That's a movie in itself. Robot with a mustache. I am a robot, but for some reason I was also programmed to have knowledge of my mustache.
I was growing a robo beard, but decided to prune it down. What do you think they shave with?
Oh man. I imagine they just pull off the beard, like they rip it off and put new flesh on.
Ooh, that could be.
Yeah.
I think they just lean into like a grinder.
No more beard.
Goodbye. So these zombies in this flick, let's talk about them too, because they are not the typical shuffling.
No, they run.
And there doesn't seem to be any specific like brain lust or even necessarily like they have to kill to feed or create more zombies.
They just want to kill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're rage, as the scientist at the first of this says.
We talked about this in our Night of the Living Dead episode, which, by the way, just posted on YouTube. If you want to go listen to it on YouTube, unlike listening to it on another app for some reason. But in that episode, we talk about how the first zombie that we see runs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this isn't a new thing. The running zombie isn't a new thing at all.
In Romero's movies, they lose some of their speed because they've been zombies for a while and they're decaying.
Right, to make sense.
Yeah, but when they're first zombified, they still seem to have strength and be able to run. So it was never a thing that zombies had to shuffle. It just became a thing in the 80s as people were making their own zombie movies. That's how they did it.
Right, yeah.
Because that's how most of them moved in Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead.
There are some unique characteristics of these too, though. The way that they spread the infection isn't with the typical like, oh, I bite you and kill you and then you become one of us. It's like they can vomit blood onto people, which is so sick.
And the infection happens in 10 to 20 seconds, we're told.
Yeah, extremely rapid. Yeah. Extremely, and we see it a few times throughout the course of the movie. And the thing about them is too is that they aren't like some other zombies where you have to, kill the head, as they say, the dead don't die.
You just kill them.
Yeah.
Like normal human beings.
They don't seem to be super strong.
Right. They do seem to be like adrenaline filled. So even like you see one that's like cut in half by bullets, it's still like flailing,
scrambling.
Like this. Because it would take a while to still be to bleed to death.
Right. And
so they're still moving.
They got set on fire at that gas station. They're still running and scrambling.
Yeah.
Oh, that was so fucking cool. So cool. Yeah, but it's they also don't seem to have unlimited stamina. Like whenever they're chasing after the car in the tunnel,
and the car gets away, and then they slow down and
they
they're
peter
like,
out.
Yeah, they slow down and like breathing hard and stuff. I thought that was a great, because like they're not dead. Because they're not dead, they have the capabilities of a human on like high adrenaline.
Yeah, or like fucking PCP or something.
Yes, which is pretty much equivalent to the people they're chasing, who see people chasing them. They're gonna get the adrenaline spike and they're gonna be running like crazy too.
Yeah.
So they're equally matched, unlike other zombies we see in movies where they need to be in large groups to be a threat. Here, if they're in large groups, it's like ultra threats.
Yeah, you're fucked.
Yes. In the sequel to this, 28 Weeks Later, there is a scene where there's a big horde and they get taken out with a helicopter blade. Like,
I would love seeing people get cut up by helicopters. You know that, I do.
Dude, 28 Weeks Later is not as good a movie as this, but 28 Weeks Later is a fucking awesome horror movie. I really enjoy it. Yeah.
Is it like more action-y?
Way more action-y. Huh. It's got Jeremy Renner and Idris Elba and Rose Byrne, like tons of big names.
Sick.
Anyway, yeah, 28 Weeks Later is a lot more video gamey, and it's way fun because of that. It's not as well written, and the characters aren't as defined, but it's cool.
Right on. I gotta check that one out. And I think they just announced that there's rumors of a 28 months later.
Yeah, Danny Boyle said in 2007 he wanted to do 28 months later, and just recently, because he has it's a Beatles jukebox musical called Yesterday. It's coming out.
Oh, yeah, that one. Yeah.
By the time this episode comes out, it will be out. And they were interviewing him, and that was one of the things he mentioned that he really wanted to do 28 months later still. So
cool.
Hopefully they will do that. I would love that.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see more of this world, man. Now, the cast in this is relatively small. Yeah. Not necessarily a lot of like named characters. So you kind of spend the whole movie really getting to know and bond with just a handful of people. And a lot of these at the time were relatively unknown. This is Killian Murphy. Thank you. I fucked it up for years, and now I can't remember which it is. I think this is Killian Murphy's like breakout.
Yeah, it's his big breakout role. It is, and he was nominated for like an award for breakout performance.
Wow, this is before Scarecrow as in Batman
this is
Begins.
Before Girl with the Pearl Earring. Like he had been in stuff since the 90s, but it had all been like real low independent sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And this was an $8 million budget. So it was still like a low budget sort of thing.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's not really that much money. I mean,
especially considering how many shots of London just like completely shut off, like no people. They shot those scenes for real. They didn't like take out any, there's no CGIing out like cars and stuff. They just found 45 minutes on Sunday right after dawn and would block off streets real quick, get about 20 minutes of shots, and then move.
That's insane.
Yeah.
And to me, too, it's like, that lets you know where a lot of that budget went, because they were basically setting up these entire crews, cameras, lights, extras, shots, blah, 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 and then getting to film for 20 or 40 minutes, and then that's a wrap.
Yep.
That fucking sucks. It had to take them forever to do all, because the London stuff is only really maybe 30 minutes of the movie or something like that.
Yeah, those location shots are, they're all at the beginning basically, and then we see them driving up north and east, I believe they say,
which would be a lot easier to deal
probably
with
easier to close off stuff than
than
the city of London, which like it's just so eerie to see nothing happen. I mean, you get the same later when we see in The Walking Dead when Rick gets to Atlanta, and anybody who's been to Atlanta, like you see it and there's no one there, and it's just fucking eerie.
Right.
Same with London. You see like the eye isn't even moving. That huge like, what is it?
Ferris wheel thing.
Yeah, it's a Ferris wheel, but I think it takes like hours to go through it because it's more like for the people who get at the top to look out at London for quite a while. Yeah, that's not moving. Everything is just basically, there's trash everywhere.
There's money on the streets.
Just laying in the streets.
And that whole premise, though, that he just wakes up from a coma. Like, last thing that happened to him, he was a bike courier.
Yeah.
He got hit on the head.
And we don't know when that happened before, but it happened sometime before the infection.
Yeah. It could have been 28 days before that.
Yeah.
It could have been.
I mean, he had, because like they had obviously shaved the side of his head for brain surgery, and that had grown back quite a bit. Yeah. So he had been there for probably at least a month in that coma. It's crazy to think he wakes up to a completely different world.
Yeah. That to me is such a just stark and bleak and depressing fucking premise. And I was kind of thinking, like, while I was watching, I was like, if that same thing happened to me and I was in this major metropolis area and I got out of the hospital and nothing was running, all the electricity was out, everything was gone,
nobody's there in a hospital.
Like, what would be your first thought of like what just happened? Would you be like,
I would assume I was still in a coma. I would assume that it wasn't real.
It was like a dream or something.
Yeah, it would have to be, because I do have those dreams where it's just empty, and it's real strange. But God, that would be, I don't know, it would be so insane to wake up to in a hospital room and none of your machines are on, and the lights aren't even on.
And you're just left there.
And you're just there.
What if you woke up and you were like, oh my God, Kirk Cameron was right. I got left behind.
Maybe, I mean, because like he seems to take it in stride, almost like, I don't know what's happening, but I'm sure I'll run across somebody that can tell me. Because when he finally does come across people, there's no assumption by him that these people are infected or anything. He just starts talking to them. Yeah, it's like just a drastic turn of events real quick for him. I mean, I don't know how you would even process it.
And the thing about this movie is whenever I think about those first parts of this where he wakes up alone in London, for some reason in my head, that's like the entire movie.
Yeah, but it's only like the first 8 minutes, maybe.
Yeah, like he, I wrote it down.
Well, I mean, other than the first 3 minutes that are the cold open, where we learn about the virus and how it gets out. But then, about 8 minutes of that, and then boom, action.
And it's only 16 minutes in the movie that he meets other humans that are not infected.
Yeah.
But for some reason, those opening scenes just stick in my head so much, and I'm like, oh, that's the entire movie. It's kind of like when I think about like Final Fantasy VII for PlayStation. I'm like, oh yeah, the whole thing's in Midgar in the slums, and you're under the plate, and it's like,
no, that's just
a
short
few
period.
hours. Yeah, that's like a fraction of the whole game. But for some reason, it sticks out so much in my head that to me, that is the entire game. And to me, this entire movie is guy wakes up, everybody's dead, everybody's zombies, he's alone.
For most of the time. But he's not alone most of the time.
Because he runs into Selena
and Mark. And Selena and Jim are our two main characters and our definitive protagonists, because they're the two that go through actual full character arcs. And what we get basically is Jim, who's been raised by these people who love him like crazy.
Seem like great folks.
Seem like wonderful folks. And he has this wonderful outlook on life. And then Selena, who's had everything taken from her and doesn't want to get close to anyone.
Yeah, her whole thing is just survive.
Yeah, and they both just go through these complete wonderful arcs where Jim still keeps his positive outlook, but becomes much more real. Understands the world a little better, but also Selena gives over to actually caring about people. And they both become better people because of it. Great storytelling, wonderful character arcs. I love the way they did that.
Yeah, that's one of those things I hadn't really taken into account until I watched it this time. I think before I was just kind of watching for all the zombie hysteria and stuff like this, and the gore and the kills, which are all great.
Yeah, they're awesome.
But this time I did really notice, like, man, these characters really change, especially Jim's character arc really moves through the movie, which is awesome to see. We'll talk more about those motivations and stuff, too. We've also got Mad Eye Moody in this movie.
Yeah, old Alistair Moody, a.k.a. He's in Everything.
Yeah,
Brendan
Gleeson, man.
Yeah.
Who is awesome, and he is so likable in this.
He's so good in everything. I don't even know, like, I can't think. He's even in Lake Placid, probably one of the best actors.
Dude, have you ever seen In Bruges?
Yeah, In Bruges is amazing.
Holy shit.
He's so good in that.
That's the movie where, like, I really just fell in love with him as an actor.
Yeah.
That movie is fucking
he's so good.
Rad. And Colin Farrell is amazing in it, too.
Colin Farrell's so good in that, yeah.
God, that movie is great.
And Fleur Delacour is in there.
That's right, she is. Mm-hmm. Well, it's because there's only ever, like, 10 working British actors.
And not everybody in England is technically an actor. Like, they could be called up at any moment. Like, sorry, you got to be in a BBC show. Okay.
Bloody hell.
Oi.
And he's awesome in this. He is a dad who has been living on his own with his girl.
Mm-hmm. Also, he's kept a positive outlook.
Yeah.
He's been, like, basically to keep his daughter safe. He's developed this very positive sort of outlook. And when we first get introduced to him, he's in all that riot gear and looking super intense, because he's a big dude, like tall and also large.
Yeah.
Super intimidating looking. And then, so funny, takes off the riot gear. It's all been super intense. And he's like, so I'm Frank anyway. Like,
it's great. Yeah, it's so dry. And this is
so dry humor. I love it.
It's all after he's defended them and told them where to go and, like, thrown these zombies down this stairwell and all kinds of shit. Yeah, he's great and does bring a little bit of levity to this.
Yes.
There's not really a lot of comedy per se.
No,
in this movie.
It gets super dark for sure.
It gets extremely, extremely fucking bleak, man. There's some stuff in this flick that, like, I tend to always forget about the scene where he comes across his parents' suicide.
Oh, yeah. But that's actually, I think, for him, super sad, but for the audience, and especially, like, what Selena says is, like, you're lucky that they got to go out this peacefully and whatnot. Like, for the audience, it's like, oh, this is good. It's good they committed suicide. because they didn't turn into these rage zombies that he might have to kill at the house. They died peacefully thinking about their son.
And they're just laying in bed, and they got that picture of him. And it's got that note that says...
Oh, man, that's heartbreaking.
Oh, my God. With endless love, we left you sleeping. Now we're sleeping with you. Don't wake up. Fuck.
Don't wake up.
Which also the thing is like the way that their note says, we left you sleeping. It's kind of indicative of how long he's been in a coma.
Yeah, he'd been in a coma. They had been basically waiting for him to come out of that coma, and then this all happened.
Yeah. So it kind of makes me think that he was knocked out for a while.
Yeah, it seems that way.
We never really get confirmation as to how long he was out. And dude, even the way that Frank goes out just sucks. It just fucking sucks.
And it's exactly what it's supposed to be. This movie, just like the Romero zombie movies and tons of other zombie movies that try to make a point, this movie has its anti-capitalist message, and also this message that the rage, the fears and the anger of the lower classes are going to bubble up to a point that it destroys everything. And what we see with Brendan Gleeson's character is basically that, like, this rage and this terrible anger that comes from being mistreated and used by upper classes, it's indiscriminate. It doesn't know any bounds. And so we see this happen to this wonderful, happy, nice guy, this very random infection by just a drop of blood, and have to see him, become one of these terrible things. And the message seems to be that, like, in some way, at least I gathered, especially from Mark's discussion about how the people in the airport were all crawling all over each other and climbing over each other, which is like the definition of capitalism. It seems that this movie is just saying that, like, all this terrible anger and rage that comes from capitalism, it doesn't even end up hurting the people that it's meant to hurt. It just hurts everyone.
Wow, yeah. Indiscriminately.
Yeah. So it's just one of the byproducts of capitalism that everyone gets hurt by it.
Wow.
And you can't avoid it.
I think I just need to have a drink and just drown my sorrows.
Drown your sorrows.
Let's have us something
We
here.
got this one a long time ago from Ryan. It is a Pontoon Brewing Helios. It's French Syrah barrel-aged farmhouse ale.
Now that sounds fancy.
And it came in a bottle that had a cork.
It had, listen to this, dude. It had a traditional bottle cap. I popped it, and I was like, no carbonation. What happened? And then I pulled it off, and I was like, there's a cork on here, too. It kind of put me in the same mindset as those fancy Pepperidge Farm breads. They're bagged, then they're in another bag.
Do what?
Double sealed. Yeah, this is a Pepperidge Farm. Pepperidge Farm Pontoon Brewing right here.
Yeah, I'm interested in this.
I don't historically like a saison farmhouse kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm not a huge
usually
fan
not my
of
thing.
this, but it smells great.
Let's get a whiff of this. It's a nice golden amber color. It's not especially clear. It's a little hazy.
Yeah,
little light carbonation there.
Hazy little thing called love.
We've let this thing get down to room. Well, it's like cellar temp right now. It feels like we've left it out for a couple of hours, I guess now. So it seems like it should be at an adequate drinking temp. What's that do to you? Does that work for you? Ooh, it's a magical sensation.
I like that.
That's really good.
It's got the wine flavor to it. There's definitely like a tinge of wine, but it's also like, it's real light, almost cidery.
Yeah, that is a good way to describe it, because the effervescence of it does kind of lend itself to that kind of cidery sort of taste. And I think it's just like 6% or something like that. So it's kind of light. It's got a little bit of that nice lemony tartness to it, but it's not super sour. Again, a lot of those saisons that I've had just taste like you made a beer and put a shit ton of lemon juice in it.
Right, okay.
Or bile, yeah. This has like lemon flavor, but not necessarily that bitter acidic kind of element.
It also has that sort of smokiness of a farmhouse ale, and that's normally the part I don't like much about a farmhouse, but in this case I think it works.
It's good. It's like really refreshing.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks so much, Ryan. You make some great old choices for us.
He
there.
Sure did.
And hey, if somebody else wants to send us some beer, we're running low.
Yeah. Let us know. I actually got a message the other day from a listener wanting the address to send us some beers. But if you want the address, you can email us at deadandlovelypod@gmail.com or message on Facebook or any of the other social medias. I'll get you the address.
I'll put it out there, though, that we are both highly allergic to poison.
Oh, yeah. Oh, boy. I do not. My body hates it, I think.
Yeah, it'll kill me.
Yeah.
If I have poison, if I ingest it, I will die. So please do not put poison.
But if you're trying to kill us, it's probably a good idea.
I've revealed my weak spot.
Your one single weakness is poison.
So you were talking about the capitalist kind of leanings and stuff in here, and I think it's kind of inherent for any zombie movie to have those kind of things.
That's the general idea of zombies is that people are walking mindlessly through this civilization.
Consumers.
Just consuming. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Not caring about what it costs or what kind of damage it leaves behind, just consuming. I think that there's some messages in this movie that may have been, let's say, somewhat prophetic about the social media age.
Okay.
Because this came out in 2002.
Right.
We'd already had our Angel Fire.
This might even be Friendster days.
Yeah.
This is definitely AOL chat room days. Like, people were still chatting on Instant Messenger and chat rooms and stuff.
Right. And that he might have just been seeing the writing on the wall as the internet as this new form of communication to let people quickly communicate and share ideas with each other and stuff like that. I think that there's a lot of messages in this movie about mob mentality.
Okay.
And I think there's a lot of messages about how the things that spread and infect us the quickest on a social level are things that provoke anger and hatred and negativity.
Wow.
This is a little bit relevant for these days.
A little bit. Yeah, it might be extremely relevant.
Yeah.
That the quick spread of information also, I mean, we talked about this last week with dog soldiers, but the quick spread of information also brings the quick spread of disinformation, and people can abuse the fact that people want to be angry from time to time.
Yeah.
And can make people angry about things that aren't even real issues.
Right.
And easily turn a mob into a dangerous voting bloc or a dangerous group of people who, I don't know, show up at pride parades and try to disrupt them or
anything like that. Anything that just spawns hatred tends to catch fast. It spreads like wildfire. But I think that there's emphasis on this movie about again, mob mentality and groups and packs and stuff, because obviously you have the infected who are just infected with rage. It's never even specified as like a virus.
Yeah.
Or some kind of...
He calls it rage. And there's no... We don't understand fully what this was, why it was created, how it was created, but it seems to just fill people with absolute hatred and rage.
But you're even given some hints about it, too, because whenever we have that animal research lab, there's like a gorilla or something that's chained up and is being forced to watch all these screens.
Yeah, chimp,
there we go. I get them all confused. I don't know why. Being forced to watch all these screens like Clockwork Orange style of all these violent and horrific acts and wars and riots and stuff like that. So it's almost like saying that the things that we're seeing infect us.
Yeah, and then infect others.
Right.
That we take that infection and we spread it to other people because we want other people to feel what we feel.
Right. And let's even look at it this way too. So even at the first of the movie, before there are infected mobs roaming the streets and stuff, you have this group of animal rights activists who are enraged about something.
Right.
And mindlessly go about trying to change it, even though they don't even know what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah.
And they're letting loose these animals that are infected with this highly contagious thing that's going to take over the world. But all that they're doing is that they're filled with rage.
Yeah.
And they're just achieving their goals.
Right. Because the messaging seems to indicate at the beginning that the animal rights activists are in the wrong. Even though the scientist is the one responsible for this, he's our like voice of reason, and like he understands the thing he's created, this terrible thing.
Because that's the thing; it seems like he's created this.
Yeah, he's done it. He's the bad guy, but the movie seems to indicate to us like, no, he's fine. It's these assholes who are liberating these animals who are the real problem. That made me think, Yeah, that some of this was more anti-reactionary than anti-capitalist. So there's definitely a lot more of that to it seems to me. What you're saying of just this anti-reactionary, that if we'd all just let these things that we don't understand happen, that somehow it'll end up better. I don't know.
Well, I think that ultimately what it's all kind of about and trying to say is whenever you find yourself in one of those very heated mobs of people that are getting all riled up and full of piss and vinegar at something, stop and think about it for a second. So you've got these people that, you know, again, are all hot and bothered and worked up, and they go out and do this thing that ends up fucking everything up.
Yeah.
You've got, obviously, the hordes of the infected that are just full of rage.
Right.
That are just killing everything. They're going to starve to death. They're ruining the whole world. They don't even care. And then you've also got the army faction in here, the military faction. That's another mob mentality group.
Yeah, it is. And
because they are so consumed with their self-interest, they will go to such horrible lengths as raping and doing all kinds of fucked up shit.
So that's where I'm trying to understand the movie's message.
Yeah.
Because the movie does very specifically have these soldiers who are obviously representative of toxic masculinity. Like, the absence of women has made them create amongst their group the men that are most women-like and to treat them poorly.
Yeah, the Donnas that are the 10 openers and wear aprons and shit.
Yeah, so like they're obviously representative of toxic masculinity, and they're supposed to be bad. We're not supposed to like them. So again, like, what is the movie's overall message? Is it basically when we get together, bad things happen, or like? Well, here's the thing: anytime we're trying to make the world better, we're actually making it worse for someone else.
So the way that I kind of see it is that there's the group of the infected.
Yeah.
There are the other people on the other side of the fence from them, which would be this military group.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks they're doing the right thing. Everybody's just following their rage and anger.
Yeah.
They're both wrong in a lot of ways.
Yes, for sure.
But then the interesting thing here is that Jim's character, he's almost somewhat of a time traveler when you get down to it. He's missed the buildup of this whole thing.
The destruction of civilization.
Yeah. He just walked in the middle of this argument and is just kind of observing.
Yeah.
And his character throughout the movie isn't super... he's not full of personality and stuff like this. He's pretty much just kind of observing what's going on, just kind of going with the flow for most of the movie. And then if you think about it, by the end of the movie, he ends up kind of taking on traits of both the military group with his strategization and stuff, as well as the feral, violent aspects of the zombie group.
Yeah, he becomes just as wild as one of them, to the point that Selena's not sure if he's infected or not.
So you could say that he kind of takes on characteristics of both groups rather than being caught, being polarized from one side or the other.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, it makes sense. I see that.
And there's other little family units and stuff too. Obviously, there's Frank and his daughter.
Yeah, and then
Selena and Mark.
Yeah, so when Selena and Jim join Frank and Hannah, eventually they are a family.
Yeah, they form their own group.
Yeah, and he, like, Jim even calls Frank Dad.
Yeah,
in his sleep.
Right.
Like, they're real close. And Selena becomes just extremely defensive and protective of Hannah in a way that completely changes her character.
Yeah.
Instead of being the person who says, I would kill you in a second and I would leave anybody behind that would slow me down, to this person who's like, I'll do anything to protect this girl.
Right.
There's a huge change by the family dynamic. And again, I mean, is it saying that we need more family, or we need to recognize each other as family more? I mean, that's a good message that I could say is defensible with this movie.
Yeah.
That we need to recognize each other as family and treat each other that way.
The way that Jim's character changes throughout the course of the movie, I think, is really fascinating. And did you even notice too that towards the end of the movie, when he's like kind of skulking around the military base and basically fucking everybody up, they even start shooting him camera-wise. They start shooting him like a zombie.
Yeah, in the frenetic, like, crazy, chaotic style.
Yeah. And there's a scene where like he's hiding behind a car, and the camera kind of passes by it, and it just sort of passes by him being like stock still, like waiting on his prey.
Yeah.
Like it had shown us the zombies earlier.
Uh-huh.
Which is really neat.
It is cool.
Yeah, and I can't help but think that some of these messages, like I said, of being on the polar extremes of any argument, which again, very relevant today, I can't help but feel like that stuff was somewhat intentional by Alex Garland, because his books are fucking awesome. Like The Beach is this really cool kind of modern Lord of the Flies dystopian thing. It is extremely fucking cool. It's got all kinds of stuff about the Vietnam War in there and Thailand. And
wow.
It's really cool. It has a really fucked up, crazy ending with it, too. Again, the movie is kind of whatever.
Okay.
The book is really cool.
Worth a read.
Strongly recommend it. He wrote this book a couple years after that called The Tesseract.
Yeah, I saw that in his list of books. What's that about?
That book is fucking awesome. It is so cool. It's so cool. It's almost like a Pulp Fiction style thing where you have like a bunch of like seemingly unrelated stories that then begin kind of crisscrossing over each other in a lot of ways. It's
like
kind of got
Tesseract sort of thing.
Yeah, right? Yeah. It's kind of got those like butterfly effect kind of qualities where this one little thing that happens in this one story has a big effect on this other thing.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant Butterfly Effect, the movie. I was like, so Ashton Kutcher's in it?
Exactly.
Amy Smart?
Yeah, Ashton Kutcher is in the book, The Tesseract.
Oh, that makes sense.
It's really neat. It's also got a lot of really oddly prophetic stuff about like modern day terrorism and stuff in it. It gets bleak.
Hey, speaking of terrorism, most of this movie was shot before 9/11.
Yeah.
And it has a real 9/11 feel to it at times, which is also strangely prophetic.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, there's all these weird things that I think that he was looking ahead into the future and being like, this information age that we're entering into has the ability to spread information like a virus so fast and make people into these polar extremes. I think that he was seeing it coming personally.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it seems pretty clear, from just looking at this movie that he had at least a vision of the near future.
Right. What do you think about the 3 acts of this movie? Because to me, this movie is a very clear, like, first act,
second act,
London, second act,
the
escape,
family, the escape, and
third
then third act,
military.
the soldiers,
Yeah. What do you think about that kind of structure for this?
I feel like storytelling-wise, it was great. I feel that the way the film plays out, it gets a bit too slow in the second act.
It does.
Yeah, it could have been sped up. This movie could be, it's almost an hour 50.
Yeah.
I could see it going down an hour 30 and still not losing much. I mean, we get, I get that they're trying to help us understand that they're becoming a family in the second act, and like we see
we get it.
We get it.
I get it. Like,
we get it.
They're great actors. They're the only people I'm spending time with.
Yes. They're a family. I get it.
Just a few little poignant scenes, like the grocery store scene.
The grocery store scene's good. The nightmare scene, maybe, to just show that Jim is finally recognizing the terror that's out there and the way that others are seeing it.
That tire change scene where they have to really work as a group and hold a car
that's really
up.
good.
Dude, most tense tire change scene in a movie ever.
For sure.
Dude, they're in that tunnel, and
even more tense than Days of Thunder.
Almost. Okay, almost. Cold Trickle.
That's still a good movie, I think. I need to rewatch it. I haven't seen it since
that should be a wild
the
card.
90s.
Yeah, that should be a wild card.
But Michael Rooker's in it. John C. Reilly. Like,
oh shit.
Yeah.
All kinds of good folks. But dude, that scene where they're in that tunnel, and again, that's a nice bonding moment where they're in the car and they drive over that big heap of cars and they're all kind of laughing and have fun with it for just a second.
That would be fun.
Yeah. But it's kind of like a monster truck, like we talked about last week. And then they get that flat and they have to change the tire, and they're out there, and dude, when the rats come running down the tunnel, listen, anywhere you see a group of rats running,
something's coming.
Get the fuck out of the way. Because those things are nothing but survivalists.
Yeah.
When they're running, whatever's behind them is fucking awful.
Yeah.
Get out of the way.
Get away from it.
Yeah. Oh man, it's so good. So even just that scene where they have to work together to change the tire, even though like at that point Jim had been kind of bitching about how this is a dumb idea, but they work all together to save their asses and everything. Great, family building scene. But yeah, kind of there around the middle of the second act.
Yeah, they stop at the ruins for that picnic. They
drive to Manchester, which I mean, it's. I'm sure probably if you live over there, it would be like us seeing New York City just burnt to the ground or something like that. See Manchester just leveled. I mean, that sucks. Didn't really add anything to the story though.
No.
I kind of just sort of understood. Yeah, everywhere is fucked. I didn't really need to have this trip of them going to Manchester.
I mean, I guess it's a confirmation. Maybe you're hoping, well, you get out of London and it'll be better.
Right.
But yeah, that probably could have been skipped.
I always forget how much of the movie takes place on the military base, and to me, that's where the breaks really kind of get hit a little bit.
It gets a little slow, and it also gets like grossly dark.
Yeah, well, because we're introduced to this entirely new set of characters in this entirely new world, where it's like, okay, out there, it's total anarchy. There's no government. There's no cops. There's no firemen. There's no nothing.
And in here, we
have our own little structure
and order, and that's why it's set in a stuffy mansion, and there's like an amazing yard and well-kept bushes and stuff, because this is a reminder of the old order. And the old order of things is men are in charge and women are for breeding.
Right. Yeah.
And Jim and Selena and Hannah luckily helped to destroy it and escape it, but it is a little long. Maybe it could have been shortened a little bit. I don't know, like I feel like maybe having seen it a few times, you're like, yeah, I know what happens here. And maybe if I was thinking from my perspective the first time seeing it and seeing the tension build and being like, what is happening here? Maybe that works best your first time. But after seeing it a few times, it's like, I feel like you could cut this a little bit tighter.
It seems like there could have been some more show don't tell there.
Yeah.
Where like they get there and there's kind of like this tour of here's the kitchen, here's this guy, here's where we keep the zombie chained up.
You just have... So, I mean, because it does build with just offhand comments and stuff, but like maybe you could have had those happen quicker. The offhand comments where it's like, what is happening here? What are they not telling us?
Yeah, it's a little clunky.
Yeah,
I can't lie. Like I know that this is a lot of people's like favorite zombie flick, and it's a beloved classic, and I do love it. But
it brought back zombie movies. It's extremely important.
It's very important.
Yeah, but it can still be not perfect.
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah, and it's not. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that it is a flawless zombie movie.
I did feel like each time I watched it for this, I was like, this is too long. I couldn't come to a point where I appreciated every bit that they threw in and didn't think anything could be taken out. There were things that definitely could be shortened, taken out, made quicker, made a little bit more clear quickly so that we can get to the action. But still, this is an awesome movie.
Yeah, it is awesome. What do you think about the visual aspect of the flick?
Gorgeously shot. Some very interesting shots, and you were talking about this there's some very like impressionistic moments, especially when they're driving through where those flowers are.
Yeah,
the foreground is very impressionistic.
It's like wibbly wobbly looking.
Yeah,
it almost looks like what's that movie? It's real pretentious. Stoners love it. They filmed it and then animated around everything.
Oh right, Richard Linklater's movie.
Yeah. What like it's not Existence. It's fuck.
Yeah,
y'all know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
that
the one we're talking about.
It has that wibbly wobbly. It's real life, but it's been painted over kind of look. And even earlier in the movie, when Jim is just in London by himself, there's a lot of things where he'll be in the foreground, and then the background has this weird, impressionist, like stained, almost like you're looking at it through like an old piece of glass.
Yeah, there's some real interesting choices that I think work, but also are like, what is it saying? Like, what is the point? I think it looks cool.
It looks cool, but why?
Why?
Yeah. That I'm not exactly certain about personally. And this was shot on digital video, which at the time was like, holy shit, brand new crazy technology.
Right, but also it shows its age really quick.
It does. That's the problem.
It doesn't look as good as it would if it had been shot on film, I don't think.
Absolutely not. And I'm sure that would have drove the budget up.
Yes. That's the positive of digital filmmaking, is that it made these low-budget films look better and play out better and have better actors because they're spending less on film.
Oh, yeah. Dude, that's something that I think a lot of moviegoers don't really understand, is that whenever you shoot a movie on film, the development process costs so
color
fucking
correction,
much.
all that stuff. It's expensive, and then also that you have to do that for all of it. So you can then figure out what you want in your final product.
It's so time consuming and expensive. I mean, it's like y'all remember.
But with digital, it's like so easy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
And the dailies are just right there on the camera.
Oh, yeah. You look at them immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's the kind of thing where to put it into perspective, it's like we all remember what it used to be. Well, not all of us, but some of us remember what it used to be like to, get a roll of film developed.
Right.
And it's like you take it, you drop it off, you pay $10 to get 24 prints or whatever back. Now imagine that you're doing that 24 times for every second in your movie. That's how much it costs to get film developed. And you're doing this for an hour 50.
And editing then is going frame by frame and cutting
with a razor blade.
With a razor blade where you don't want, and then taking the part that you do want, taping that together. Like
insanity. That's one of those things, man, where when you look back on it that way and you realize that some of these like historic, groundbreaking fucking Ben-Hur and Casablanca and all this shit were made by people sitting around cutting film with razor blade.
Yeah.
It makes you really realize how bored people were back then. It's like the world is so boring. I have to make this movie.
I gotta do it.
It's just so boring. And also, too, it makes you realize how bored people were because they thought Casablanca was a great movie. It's so boring.
It's good. I like it.
So boring.
It's good.
Well, it doesn't help.
You don't like that black and white.
Okay, there's that aspect. There are some black and white movies that I do like.
Okay.
I think, honestly, what ruined it for me is that I had to watch it for that really shitty, stupid intro to philosophy class I had in college.
Oh, yes. We had the same teacher.
Dr. Gary Aquaviva.
Yeah,
my name,
the same guy.
Dude, this guy, I'm sure I've mentioned this at some point before. First day of class, my name is Dr. Aquaviva. My name literally translates into the water of life.
Yeah.
I'm your philosophy teacher. Go fuck yourself.
It's not hard to feel superior to people in Morristown, Tennessee.
In a philosophy class.
Yeah.
Philosophy.
Yeah.
But yeah, this being shot on digital definitely did bring the budget down, but it also definitely did date it in a very, very real way. I would look at this movie, and if I didn't know that it was made in 2002, I would guess it was made in 98 or 97.
Yeah, because it just doesn't
kind of old and shitty.
Yeah, it doesn't look as good as it should.
No. Yeah, like if this movie was shot on today's digital cameras, it would be fucking great looking.
And in case we're not clear, we're not saying the framing is bad or the
shots are
cinematography
great.
Is gorgeous.
Literally just
it's
the quality.
Just the quality of the digital video.
It's kind of like me saying the snare drum on those Beatles records doesn't sound good.
Yeah, it's real specific. It probably doesn't bother most people.
Yeah, it also doesn't make the song suck.
No.
So there's that aspect of it too. What do you think about the soundtrack on this thing, dude?
It's great. It's so fucking good.
Especially at the first of the movie when he's all alone and you got those Godspeed You Black Emperor tracks playing.
And like, it's a real great way that it builds the tension with the music as he's moving around, that it gets just more and more and more. And then it's just like real intense music when he's running away from the first infected he comes across. It's so great.
Have you listened to some Godspeed You Black Emperor before?
Not really. No.
They're pretty fucking rad.
Gotta check them out.
It's that kind of music that I really love, but I never really find myself in the mood to listen to it.
I would say check out Mogwai.
It's that kind of thing.
Oh, you know Mogwai. Okay.
Yeah,
They did all the music for Les Revenants, the French zombie show. And yeah, it reminded me of that. And I think that like the music in this defined zombie movie music for a while.
Yeah.
It was kind of the way everybody looked at the way to make a good zombie movie is to have this sort of atmospheric music that brings you into the tension slowly, but then let's just intense.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the soundtracks in this do the really great thing that you can do with licensed music, because mostly all the soundtrack in this is licensed music, but it does that thing where it doesn't tell you how to feel about the scene that you're watching, but just it agrees with how you're already feeling.
Yeah, it doesn't throw in a movie where it's like, zombies are sad.
Yeah, dude.
Be sad about these zombies.
Oh my God, man. There's so many soundtracks that are just fucking ruined by a song just blatantly telling you this is a sad part. Mm-hmm. Here's the happy part.
Oh, I'm supposed to be sad. Oh, I'm so sad now.
God, the words in the song told me to be sad. You know? But man, some of the other parts in this that really stick out in my head are whenever he goes to his parents' house where they've killed themselves and it's playing, it's almost like a hymn.
Yeah.
It's like if I recall, like maybe an a cappella or just mainly vocal and simple instrumentation.
Leading up
hymn.
to it, they were playing a hymn, like the walk to the house.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's playing when they get there, but
they're playing.
playing
In the house for a little while.
Abide With Me is what's playing.
There you go.
Yeah.
Really just enhances that scene and makes you see just how bittersweet that whole situation is. Which, by the way, too, I meant to ask, whenever you went to the church early in the movie, did all those people kill themselves? They were sitting in the pews, and they were all dead. They weren't, like, mangled and bloody.
It looked like either they had all killed themselves or either they had all gathered there to pray for protection, and then they of course didn't get it and they died.
So this movie also does display its influences, I think, in a somewhat obvious way. I think the way that it starts off with the whole kind of survival last man on earth thing is very Omega Man.
Yeah. Oh yes, that is very much what is happening when he's walking through the streets and there's nobody there.
Yeah. And then later on it starts to mix in that military industrial complex and chained up test zombie that we see in
Day of the Dead.
Yeah, so I think that there's a couple of influences this definitely wears on its sleeves.
Oh yeah, I don't think that they were trying to hide the influence of Romero's movies or any of the other zombie movies. They're obviously taking from. I think they took it a different way for sure, because Day of the Dead, it has a lot of good to say, but it is more campy than serious, it seems. Mm-hmm. And this takes a very serious look at what it would be like if people basically became these mindless killing machines and how other people would survive that and deal with that.
There's some really cool stuff in this flick, man. I do enjoy it very much. I think it's definitely one of the better zombie flicks from this era. Just one of the better horror flicks in this era.
For sure.
Period, I would say. For sure.
Yeah, that early to mid 2000s era was lacking from time to time in this movie. And I mean, Dog Soldiers, which we covered last week, I think they did a good job of being dark, but also really connecting it to humanity. I mean, Dog Soldiers is of course more comedic, but there's still a lot more humanity to the characters. And the characters, you get them, you understand them, and you feel like if I were in that situation, I would be this person or I would be that person.
Yeah, unlike a lot of horror flicks where you do
you're just like, that person's stupid, this person's dumb, I would never be like these people, they make dumb decisions.
Yeah, exactly. Or, kind of like in, my complaint with Dog Soldiers, where I'm like, all these characters are just kind of the same. I don't really care about them. I feel like all the characters in this are really fleshed out and have unique drives and ambitions and ways to survive. Yeah. I think there's some really cool stuff in here. Some great gore, some good kills and stuff in there. Man, that part where, is it Mark? Is that his name? The guy that Selena's with?
Yes, when he gets bitten.
Dude, and she just, without hesitation,
murders him with a machete.
His ass. Dude, and he's like holding his, his
arm gets chopped off.
That's one of those things that we've seen in a few movies. We saw it in Opera and a couple other flicks. If somebody's attacking you with a knife, you put your hands up in the air to try to block yourself.
Yeah, involuntarily.
And then your hands and your arms get chopped off. Yeah. And the way that it's filmed is really clever. Whenever he's getting like his fucking arm hacked off with that machete, you don't really see it, but for maybe like 2 frames.
Oh yeah, it's real quick. And mostly you see her doing the action and the blood splurting up.
Yeah, exactly. And him putting his arms up and you just kind of understanding what's happening. Yeah. Oh man, I forgot how grisly that kill scene is.
It's very grisly.
Holy shit. And there's a lot of great, just flying gore and blood and stuff, and zombies and other people getting shot and blown up, all kinds of stuff. Really good effects. I didn't see a lot of like shit digital effects, which would be common.
I don't think that there were any. I mean, as far as I could tell, there wasn't anything digital done. It looked mostly entirely practical. Those were obviously contacts when they had the red eyes. Like,
right.
Yeah. Can't think of anything in there that would have been digital.
And I can't think of any effects that didn't look convincing. Now that I think about it either. It was all really well done.
Great.
You got any final thoughts?
I do.
And a rating for this flick, Steve?
I do. This movie is in some ways on par with Night of the Living Dead for its importance in the genre of zombie movies. In that it showed that zombie movies didn't have to be the campy Return of the Living Dead, which, again, we love Return of the Living Dead.
Oh, yeah.
It's great. But it didn't have to be these campy, basically easy to shoot movies, because a zombie can be just a person with a little gore on their face. It didn't have to be that. It could be these deep thought experiments that George Romero was creating before. It could be this way of exercising our demons, of saying, like, you know, this is all the worst of humanity. Like, let's get it out, let's see it, and think about how we would get past it and how we could be better. So it's extremely important. It brought zombie movies back for that period where zombie movies were, again, very popular. They haven't gone away entirely, I don't think. We're not seeing as many as we saw in the early 2000s, but you still see zombie movies. I mean, we just watched The Dead Don't Die, which was a zombie movie that we enjoyed.
Right. It's awesome.
Yeah, there's still good zombie movies, but this brought about a period of great zombie media, and it also is just in general a really nicely put together, well-written movie with great characters. So, if I'm going to score this, putting it in context and, you know, still thinking about its flaws, which it does have, I think for me this is an 8.5.
Yeah. That's very reasonable. I'm not too far off from you there.
Okay.
I'm not too far off. Again, it's one of those that, as I've said with many other movies we've done on the show, it's fun watching these movies that I've seen many times before for the show, because I just look at them with a more analytical eye, and I'm like, what are they really trying to say here?
Yeah.
Like, is there some kind of deeper message going on? Sometimes there isn't, and sometimes there is. And like I said, in this movie, I just kind of got this message about these polarized groups and mob mentality and rage, and how the oncoming social media age might have a part in those things.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm looking into it too much because I just see so much of that these days.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe I'm looking for it and that's why I'm seeing it. I don't know.
Maybe.
But it's still a very enjoyable watch. It does look dated.
A little bit, yeah.
You know, it just definitely looks like, okay, they shot this on one of the first digital cameras that was available to them. Doesn't look great. It's kind of like looking at your old MySpace pictures where it's like, that looks like it was taken on a half megapixel phone.
You zoom in and you're like, what am I looking at?
Yeah, exactly.
Just all pixels.
Yeah, it's that kind of thing. But the performances in it, I think, are really good. Again, small cast of characters that you feel very connected with very fast. Great gore. The zombies are cool. Awesome soundtrack. The pacing is kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
To me, it's like,
I would agree with that.
Once they reach the base, I'm kind of checked out a little bit, honestly. Mm-hmm. You know, it just really hits the brakes because there's so much explaining that has to be done once they get there.
Yeah.
So
too much explaining to do.
Yeah. Like, I would have been totally happy if the movie was, you know, the first half is him alone in London trying to figure out what the fuck just happened.
Yeah.
And then the rest of it is him meeting up with his family and trying to escape.
Yeah.
That'd have been fine.
Okay.
I didn't even need to get to the base personally.
Yeah.
You know? So that kind of drags and slows down for me a little bit. That being said, it's still a good flick and very important, like you said. So I think I would probably say that this is a... You know, I'm going to say 7.5.
Okay.
7.5.
That's fair.
You know, it's not one of those ones that I'm giddy to watch again. It's not a feel-good watch.
No, it's not.
You know, it's not one of those that I want to watch because it looks so great. Because, again, the digital video looks kind of shitty. Mm-hmm. But it's just a good movie.
It's a great movie,
7.5.
7.5.
Yeah. So, thanks so much, Katie.
Yeah, thanks.
For putting this one in, supporting us on Patreon. This is fun for me to do these Patreon picks because... Yeah, it just kind of lets us be passengers in the car, not at the steering wheel for a minute.
This is a movie we would have covered anyway, but
totally.
It would eventually have to come down to one of us being like, I want to do 28 Days Later right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, fun stuff. So, thank you guys so much for participating with us here. Now, next week on the show, we're going to be doing our yearly wild card. We're going back to old Hoggy Hogwarts.
What?
That way we can talk about the third installment of the Harry Potter series, The Prisoner of Azkaban.
That's the one.
We've already done Chamber of Secrets. We've already done
Philosopher's Stone, Sorcerer's Stone.
You guys be sure and go and check out those back episodes. They are super fucking funny and a lot of fun.
And you may have noticed that we were light on British accents this week, despite the fact we were covering a British movie.
We're saving up.
And Chris Eccleston having that accent that he has.
The Doctor.
Boy, I love his accent. Well, we did this specifically because Harry Potter is going to be full of us doing British accents, because everybody in Harry Potter has a different British accent, and they're all fun to try to do.
And we know we've got a lot of dead lobsters out there, our loyal British Redcoat listeners.
Yeah, we didn't want to offend you for 3 weeks in a row.
Talk Soldiers and this and Harry Potter. It's like there's a lot of British stuff going on the show right now. So you guys better fucking buckle up, because next week is going to be a real assault, isn't it?
Isn't it?
Isn't it? It'll be silly. Yeah, you guys be sure to tune in for that. In the meantime, you guys be sure to support us on the Patreon page at
patreon.com/Dead and Lovely,
where you guys can select the tier of choice.
Yeah.
And if you like the show, even a one-time donation of $1, hell, it helps y'all.
Yeah, you can send us, if you just want to send us a one-time donation, paypal.me/Dead and Lovely.
There's that too.
Yeah. If you don't want to commit to something monthly, that's fine. You can also find us at Dead Lovely Pod on Instagram and Twitter. We have a Facebook group, Dead and Lovely Horror Movie Podcast group. And we have a Discord. If you want the link to that, either become a Patreon subscriber and go through the process of linking up your Patreon and your Discord, or just email us and I'll send you the Discord link.
Yeah, we'll work it out.
There's a Patreon exclusive channel, but there's also just a general channel.
Right. So y'all come hang out with us. Well, in the meantime, you guys have just been so goddamn fantastic for listening to this show. Just the best. Meanwhile, we've been Uncle Ben.
And Hollywood Steve.
We are Dead and Lovely, and we'll be seeing you guys next week. Bye-bye. I just started listening to Billie Eilish. I think she's called.
Eilish? Yeah.
I kind of dig it.
I like her.
I'm pretty on board with it.
People every old person hates everything teenagers do.
Yeah.
They're so... I like everybody I've heard say shit about Billie Eilish. They're like, so depressing. And it's like, have you listened to the music? Because it's not. It's not depressing at all.
No, not really.
Yeah.
No. And as if depressing music can't be good. It's like,
right.
Have you ever listened to maybe The Cure?
Right. And she and her brother make all of the music.
And the videos are sick.
And they're from Highland Park, where I used to live in California.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah, which is a cool little area to be from. And she has her own donut at Donut Friend, which is an amazing place to get a donut if you're in LA. Yeah.
What is her donut rig like?
I don't remember what it is, but that place has a Gigi Allen donut.
Does it have shit frosting on it?
No, but it has jam in it, like blood. Yeah.
I think Billie Eilish's maybe has blue hair on it.
Maybe it does. Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.